I'm Jessima Soliva. I'm from Labindam, but I live in Mombasa. I like listening to Gold FM.
Only the classic hits.
Hi, I'm Sadie Sakio from Kashmir Lotoka. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Sakata Losana. I'm from Butua and I love listening to Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, COVID-19 containment measures up to par, housing agencies to merge, and business compliance levels improve.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
The death of Fiji's first border quarantine case on Thursday goes to show that we must protect the elderly, as they are most at risk of contracting COVID-19. Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wanganabete says they will work to ensure there is no community transmission of the coronavirus and that Fiji remains COVID-19 contained. Kelly Vavala reports.
People who have underlying complications and those that have undergone major operations are classified as vulnerable to COVID-19 along with the elderly.
The young may get sick, may become unwell, may actually get through this. And this actually brings to the fore, if anything, in terms of how we can be able to continue to move on, and for us as a Minister of Health, continue to be strong in the processes that we have in place in protecting this nation. We completely understand that the best way to protect our moms and dads and our grandfathers and grandmothers, I have a 98-year-old grandmother, is to make sure that we protect this nation.
The minister says those patients who remain in isolation are being monitored and healthcare professionals are tightening procedures following the death of the 66-year-old man.
Those guidelines that WHO has, together with the fact that our staff have had a lot of practice dealing with other severe infections, have prepared us to be able to have those protocols in place.
Permanent Secretary for Health Dr. James Fong adds they have confidence in their staff.
Right from the very outset, even before we had the first case, we had already developed protocols for dealing with severe cases. And we've known for quite a while that this person was not well, and staff had already activated their clinical protocols for dealing with severe cases for quite a while.
Fiji now has 8 confirmed COVID-19 border quarantine cases that have had zero interaction with the public, and each have been held securely in military monitored isolation since their diagnosis. Kelly Vadalo, FBC News.
The public housing sector is expected to undergo major changes as there are plans to merge 2 institutions. Housing Minister Pramila Kumar has indicated plans to merge Housing Authority and the Public Rental Board. Pranita Prakash reports.
The Housing Minister believes the merger of the 2 institutions will help cut operational costs.
Is it been done, or it requires a legislative change before it's done? And what will be the implications for Public Rental Board subsidy?
If we continue to keep Public Rental Board separately, it chews a lot of money because, again, they're occupying prime properties around the country for nothing, because that property can be then used for rental purposes. And Public Rental Board, once it goes into Housing Authority, then the overhead cost of operation will come down.
Kumar says they are also looking at staffing.
Housing Authority, the only job is to do the subdivision of land. Once the subdivision of land is done, then they sell that land. This is what they're doing currently. Again, who does the subdivision of land? Not the Housing Authority staff. It is outsourced. And yet, when you analyze the number of staff at Housing Authority, it's 220. What are they doing? It's a cost to the taxpayers. And we need to tidy up all this.
The minister says they are working on a national housing policy, looking at various legislation that require changes. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
There has been a notable increase in compliance from businesses, says the Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission. The Consumer Protection Agency attributed this to increased advocacy and empowered Fijians exercising their rights and responsibilities. Pranita Prakash reports.
More than 8,000 inspections have been conducted with minimal breaches, especially during these difficult times.
Compliance has been quite high. We've also seen a paradigm shift where businesses have also moved away from a system of a detection and punishment system to a system of willful compliance.
Chief Executive Joel Ibrahim says businesses have also been coming forward and admitting their breaches.
We've also had instances where businesses have actually written to us saying, by the way, we've noticed we have breached this section because such an incident happened and it happened in error. So FCCC has then gone in and investigated the whole thing and ensured that the proper refunds were made.
Abraham says out of the 8,433 inspections conducted, they have only found 345 instances of non-compliance. He says upon further investigation, they charged 53 traders for breaching FCCC Act. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Over 140 hotels and properties have shown interest in working with Fiji Airways to come up with a recovery package and help rekindle the tourism industry. The government has announced that it will be working through Fiji Airways to provide the first 150,000 visitors with a once-in-a-lifetime travel stipend of around $400 per passenger to go towards tourism packages, including flights, hotels and meals and beverages. Economy Minister Ayaside Kayum says tourism contributes 40% to the country's GDP. Said Kayum says the recovery rebate package aims to fill hotels by creating attractive packages to safely escape the pandemic.
These benefits have been put in place because they are long-term strategic thinking, Mr. Speaker, sir. We've slashed departure tax by $100. We have, Mr. Speaker, sir, said we're allocating $60 million to Fiji Airways so they can come up with packages.
The Fiji National Provident Fund is monitoring our COVID-19 situation, ensuring prudent decisions are made on the management of members' funds. Chief Executive Chochi Koroi says they continue to assure members their funds are safe and has urged them to reach out instead of listening to all the chatter aimed at causing fear and uncertainty during this difficult time. Kelly Vadala reports.
As the FNPF moves into a new financial year and prepares for Phase 3 of the COVID-19 withdrawal scheme, members have been reminded their support is crucial.
We seek members' understanding as it's not easy to administer these schemes, especially when they are running parallel to each other. We need to also carefully approach each phase and avoid unnecessary pressures on our members and staff, and most of all, minimize confusion.
Chochi Koroi says the pandemic is far from over and they expect the economic challenges to continue into next year.
The fund is very mindful of the demand and situations on the ground with our members and will act as most practical as possible to meet their demands in line with the capability and also in our internal resources.
General Manager Member Services Alipati Wangairawai says the assistance paid out is confined to 30% of members' general account.
The larger portion of balances, which is 70%, is preserved for members at a time. So all this assistance is being funded from the 30% component.
Contributions from employers and employees will remain at 5% each, or a total of 10% until December 2021. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Up ahead, EU continues budget support. And Castaway Island opens for locals.
मेरा नाम शिबू है, मैं तावा टाउन में रहता हूँ and I love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
My name is Kartik Abdustan. Aura ba में Mirchi FM, it's hot.
नमस्कार, मैं हलीम हूँ लंबासा से। मैं हमेशा मिर्ची FM सुनता हूँ। मिर्ची FM is hot in लंबासा।
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
The European Union has provided a budget support of $50 million to the government. EU Ambassador to the Pacific, Sujiro Sim, says the support focuses on enhancing rural livelihoods, given the current crisis we are facing due to the pandemic. Sanyani Boiler reports.
The European Union has made the first payment of $20 million and the remaining $30 million in budget support will come next year. Ambassador Sujiro Sim says they have other projects which are specific to the needs of some communities during the pandemic.
I launched with the Acting Chief Justice, for example, our Access to Justice project, which allowed to set up video conferencing in prisons, to allow inmates to receive visitations, to consult with their lawyers and to attend court proceedings without being moved from the prison to the court.
The European Union is also working on launching a project with the NGO Homes of Hope.
The second thing we can do is we can complement this budget support with different projects which are specific to the country. We'll sign with the International Organization on Migration and Homes of Hope, an NGO, the launch of a project on combating human trafficking in Fiji.
The EU has urged the government to make the most of regional projects that they have offered help with. Sainian Imboila, FBC News.
47 people were arrested over the last 48 hours for breaches of curfew. Police say from Friday 11 p.m. to Saturday 4 a.m., 25 arrests were recorded. The Eastern Division recorded 9 cases, Southern 6 cases, West 5 cases, North 4 cases, and the Central Division recorded 1. Of the 25 reports, 24 involved those who were intoxicated. From last night till 4 a.m. today, 22 people were arrested. The Western Division had 8 cases, South 6 cases, Central 5 cases, and East recorded 3. 14 were intoxicated during their time of arrest. Firefighters and police rescued an elderly man from his vehicle after an accident in Pacific Harbour this afternoon. FBC News understands the driver, believed to be in his 70s, veered off the road and hit a post. Emergency responders were able to remove the man from the vehicle and transported him to hospital. The cause of the accident is unknown. It was a successful reopening for Castaway Island on Friday after the 5-star resort shut down 4 months ago due to COVID-19. 9 buris were booked for the weekend, with 40 guests taking advantage of the Love Our Locals campaign. Felipe Nacaso has more.
These were the scenes as the first guests made their way to Castaway Island Resort, indicating they're open for business despite the current pandemic.
It was quite emotional, and I believe so for the other staff and the host, because after 4 months, of closure, and to be able to, stand on the beach and welcome our guests on island today was an awesome thing.
It was surely an exciting moment for these staff who had been counting down the days until when they could say these words again.
Welcome to Castaway! To see guests arriving today, it's like to us, it's a big celebration for us. We will be making sure that top service provided for them, same as we provide to our international guests.
The resort believes its rates will be affordable for locals, taking into account the current hardships also faced by many.
For us, we believe that through word of mouth, and we hope that these guests that have checked in today would be able to go back and tell others of their experiences.
For these guests, the experience has been unique ever since the welcome reception.
Within an hour of arriving, we were snorkeling, looking at most amazing parrotfish and getting out on the reefs. We've been kayaking. We went on a kayak sunset cruise and actually saw dolphins jumping as we came back into shore. And then we've just had wonderful food and great hospitality.
Castaway Island is now looking forward to welcoming more guests next weekend. Felipe Nacaso, FBC News.
Allow your passion to become your purpose, and one day it will become your profession. Our successful Fijian segment tonight features the owner of Vivono Creations, Vasiti Andi Vonokula, who makes and sells jewelry for a living. Andi Vonokula says if you can have passion, you can make the impossible happen. Sanya Nimboila with the success story.
Leaving school at a Form 4 in 1998 did not deter Vasiti Andi Vonokula from dreaming big and pursuing her desire to create handmade jewelry.
I was a Form 4 student when I came to Suva for a school break and decided to do some holiday job. I started at a sewing company, and with the good money I have been getting, I don't feel like continuing my studies. I decided to continue with my sewing because I loved it.
Originally from Namboreni Walu, Namena in Tailevu, she started by sewing dresses for women in her village. And they started asking for matching earrings and chains, and this is how her handmade jewelry business started.
In 2002, I gave birth to my eldest, and so I decided to stay home with my kids and started my own sewing business, and that's when I established the Vivono Creations, where I make jewelries, earrings, handmade rings.
The mother of 6 says she loves making jewelry that is unique in the market. This has made her stall quite popular for people who visit the FNPF Plaza.
I love it when people gathered near my table to see the arts and craft I have done, the new designs of rings and chains, and the earrings. It always motivates me to make more jewelry.
Andi Vonokula has faced financial challenges in trying to establish her business, but her passion has pushed her to new heights.
My passion has drove me this far. I didn't know that I will make orders for prominent ladies. I am now a licensed jewelry maker, and whatever income I generate, I ensure that I use it to my 6 children. I'm also fortunate to have a very supportive husband that helps me a lot.
Her advice: push through the obstacles no matter how difficult.
Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world.
Vivono Creation is well known for its freshwater pearl jewelry and is currently based at the FNPF Plaza in Suva. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
In sports, 15s may be the way to go for Modena Rangi. And good BOG build-up for Bar, this and more after the break.
Sangare, ay tako sa inya na time, ang may na oro na alo may magduaan. Ngayon daw alahi na Radio Fiji 1. Nando mo ibinti.
Sambol mereka nang gosela sa takau. Au bati tu me bot kola, au taka tingai tabua, ondo me boli tina singile wango na makete. Ondo tali taka na barrong na Radio Fiji 1, ondo mo ibinti.
Ngola binariki. Ayo na wango kelera nai, lapton mai na kono na lota mayangi te mai mpa. Do tali tangin na to me ibinti na to bonga ni be ya ya.
Radio Fiji 1, Nando Moiviti.
Two Fiji Sevens players made their Skipper Cup debut yesterday. Sevoloni Modena Rangi featured Fernando Nga, while Napoleoni Ratu was a fly half for Yasawa. However, Modena Rangi is seriously looking at sticking with 15s, maybe after the Olympics. Aquila Dama reports.
Modena Rangi has mostly shielded away from the media, but speaking exclusively to FBC Sports, the 30-year-old reveals 15s may be the future for him.
I've been engaged with sevens for the past 4 to 5 years without playing in the 15s. I'm really grateful that the COVID-19 restrictions, which have halted many international sevens tournaments this year, has been an opportunity as well for me to capitalize playing in the 15s. I understand age is catching up and it's high time for me to switch to 15s.
While Modinadangi may want to forget his domestic Premier Rugby debut after the Fairbrother loss, his Fiji Sevens teammate Napoleon Iratu enjoyed his outing with Yasawa against Suva.
And I think my teammates, that's our first time for my brother to come and play in the Skipper Cup, and I'm really proud of them.
Yasawa will play Lautoka next week, while Modinadangi and Nandrunga meet Tailevu. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
The Crusaders remain unbeaten in Super Rugby Aotearoa after beating the Chiefs 32-19 last night. Sebo Rees was also on the score sheet for the champion side. Bar football captain Saula Wanga says young players stepped up against Suva yesterday. Wanga says the youngsters did the job for the Men in Black against an experienced Suva outfit. Aquila Dama with the story.
The flank. 11 players may have left Mba during the mid-season transfer window, but the younger players are now proving their worth.
I know it was the young boys that took on the field against the experienced Suva side. Heads off to the young boys for abiding by the rules and the game plan that set up by the coach. And I would like to thank the boys too for their effort and their hard work.
The 3-1 loss was a little bit too much for Suva coach Babs Khan.
I mean, this is our first defeat in the this year, and it's kind of shocking, but I'll take it. We'll go back to Suva and we'll rectify all our injuries, and we got guys to assess the game, and we'll see where we went wrong, and we'll pick it up from there.
It was a good game for Mba, knowing they are in the same pool as Suva at the Punja's BOG, which kicks off on Friday at Churchill Park in Lautoka.
It was a good build-up match for the Battle of the Giant coming up. I know we're both in the same pool. We played good. I gave Suva the brave hearts. They gave their hearts out during this game. It was a good platform for us that preparing for the Battle of the Giant next week.
Mba will play Nasinu in their first BOG match, while Suva takes on Lambasa. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Arsenal won the FA Cup after a 2-1 win over Chelsea this morning. Fiji Volleyball President Linga Ngukisuva is urging all affiliated associations to seek approval before hosting any tournament. This is after certain clubs were seen hosting competitions despite not being sanctioned by Fiji Volleyball. Speaking to FBC Sports, Ngukisuva says being accredited by the Fiji National Sports Commission doesn't mean everything is normal.
If these are not sanctioned by Fiji Volleyball Federation, I'm sorry, but your tournament can actually be stopped from being organized if the necessary stakeholders find out that you haven't followed the right process in getting your tournament sanctioned.
The Fiji police cricket team is the first winners of the T10 Bulla Bash League final after beating Army in the final by 12 runs at Alba Park in Suva yesterday. Cricket Fiji Chief Executive Alex Kondrote says they were quite surprised with the feedback and interest in the last few weeks since they started the competition. Kondrote says a few more tournaments are lined up to keep their players engaged in the sport.
When we were planning it, we just thought we didn't really put too much thought into what the T10 would bring to us. The primary goal was just to get cricket started again, and T10 was the best format for it. But after the first week, what we realized was that a lot of the national players especially had gone right back to the basics.
And in weather, a trough of low pressure remains slow-moving just to the south of the Solomon Islands and extends just to the west of the Fiji group. Quick look at the weather map. In the west, cloudy conditions with intermittent showers today. Showers developing further as the trough of low pressure approaches the group from the west. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, more rain throughout. And up north, not very different from other centres as wet conditions prevailed. At sea, northeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. Turning to the tides, low tide is at 11:13 tonight, with high tide at 5:45 tomorrow. Sunrise is at 6:32. Now for tomorrow, occasional showers and a few thunderstorms over most places. Isolated heavy falls are expected. Showers gradually clearing over western parts of the country from later in the afternoon. And our further outlook, we're looking on to Tuesday. Cloudy periods are to be expected with brief showers over the southeastern parts and interior of larger islands, fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers elsewhere, cool at night. And recapping the main stories for tonight, COVID-19 containment measures up to par, housing agencies to merge, and business compliance levels improve. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking, with liquidity set to rise to $1 billion, should banks decrease interest rates? Visit our FBC website to answer. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News and Twitter @FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. From the team and I, have a safe and enjoyable new week ahead. Until tomorrow, Modemanda.
Manam laris na raine. हम रेडियो फीजी 2 सुनता है, रेडियो फीजी का इसके लड़का।
जी हाँ, मैं ताबुआ शहर से बोल रहा हूँ। मेरा नाम शर्मा है। फिलहाल मैं रेडियो फीजी 2 हमेशा सुनता हूँ, जो रेडियो फीजी 2 देश का धड़कन।
मेरा नाम चंद्रा है, मैं रकेती से बात करती हूँ। आपके राम राम। मुझे रेडियो फीजी 2 बहुत पसंद है।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।